And welcome back. My name is Apple for those who don't know, and for today I'm going to be showing you how I paint my backgrounds with watercolor. So for now I have my sketch here, and I know it might be a little bit hard to tell what's going on, but we are not going to focus on that part for now because we're just going to be focusing on the background for today. So without further ado, let's get started. So first I put masking fluid over these two areas. This is because I'm going to be doing some splattering and pouring, and I don't want any of the colors to accidentally leak onto these parts. So I begin to spray water all over my paper with the spray bottle. Then I'll take my pipette and do little drops into some areas. So first I take my base color for this area, which is a light green, and I just spread it evenly and very thinly throughout the area. Then I'll take a darker color that I'll splatter and let spread, that way I can separate the foreground and the background. So now I physically take up my paper and I'll move the paper at certain angles so that the color can spread throughout different parts of the paper. I repeat this process about 2 or 3 times until I get a color that I'm satisfied with, and then I'll stop doing the pouring technique and then start adding some details. After it dries from about my 3rd time doing this, this is what it looks like. Here I begin to add some texture to this area of the bushes by using this sponge. When the light color dries, I start to go over it in a darker color to add more depth to it. So this is what it looks like after I use the sponge for both the foregrounds and the background. I like to use it because it saves a lot of time, but it also creates a really pretty effect, especially when doing foliage. Here I'm just adding a little bit more color to the tree because it's not as dark as I would like it to be. And here I'm just adding a couple trees in the background. I do this pretty lightly because I don't really want them to pop out as much. Even though I am focusing on the background today, I still want the main focus to be the girl that we have and then the mirror that we have against the tree. Now I'm just adding more details to the frame of the mirror, and I'm doing this by creating little tiny grass strands and also just creating a little bit more texture so that it stands out a little bit more. At this point, I'm not done with the backgrounds yet, but I am done doing splattering and pouring. At this point, I decided to take the masking fluid off, and I would say this is about 50% done with the background. So this is what it looks like with the masking fluid freshly removed off, and at this point, we're just going to add more details pretty much all around. I pretty much just repeat the same process of adding little grass strands and then adding some little leaves, so I'm going to speed up this process until we get to something a little bit different. I start to add the bark onto the tree, and all I did was do a bunch of straight lines and then also connecting them through these kind of squiggle looking things. I wasn't really sure how to do it at first, but I'm really happy with the way that this part came out. At the bottom part of the tree, I just did the same thing. Here, I felt that the middle ground was a little bit unclear, so I tried to change it through a couple different ways. First, I started to make this part seem a little bit like a pathway, and then I started to go in with a sponge and try to make it like a bush in the middle ground. I think this part was honestly the toughest part to do because it was a little bit difficult to try and separate the foreground and the middle ground. Usually I plan this out beforehand, but in this one I really just wanted to focus on the process and not get so caught up in the finished product, so I didn't do as much planning as I usually do. So it caused me a little bit of grief, but it was also kind of fun trying to figure it out and trying different ways and what I could do to fix this. And this is how my background came out. I will say when I do the other parts of the painting, I may change some things, but so far I really like it. And when I finish my paintings, I usually add some details digitally, but that's always at the very end because I just want to make sure that my whole painting is cohesive. But thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next week.